All right, hello and welcome back to my review of Brockhampton's final album, TM, otherwise known as The Mountain. Now, when we last heard from them, it was, well, a day before this one was released. This is a surprise album that dropped the next day after The Family, which people were very excited for, but I know a lot of people were soon let down once they heard it. I personally was really only let down by one big thing, and that was the complete absence of member Bareface. He had been a prominent member on the last three albums, or four, I guess you could say, with him finally becoming a major role on Iridescence and then Ginger and Staying Still with Roadrunner, and then he handled almost all the production on The Family, and then he is completely absent from TM. And when we got the explanation that TM was basically a bunch of songs that they had that just didn't make the cut for prior albums, it kind of dawned on me, like, was this a choice he made? He didn't want to be on this one, maybe because it felt half-baked and that's not what he wanted, or I'm not sure. It just is kind of strange that they would leave out an entire member with having, 11 songs, which is not the longest. It's the shortest Brockhampton album of all. But I don't know. It's just strange to me that they would completely leave him out, especially when I can feel like he would fit really well on certain songs. But, oh well, to me, when you're having a group project and you leave out a major member completely, to me that kind of affects the score and how I feel about it. It just is weird. It doesn't sit well. But oh well. I will say that I do like every single song on this album. There is not a bad song in my opinion. There are some songs that have some weak points, like on Crucify Me. I think that the piano outro, I believe it's performed by Joba, if I were to take a guess, considering that he, I know, is, I believe, the only member who can play the piano in the group. I think that goes on for a bit too long. It's very theatrical in a sense and very grandiose, but it just feels like it goes on forever. And when we already have a song like Man on the Moon, which has, I believe it's almost like a 2-minute outro on that too, which I think works for what the song is and what the vibe is for that song. We don't need another song with a super long drawn out outro. I like the song like as a whole, and I think up to that point it's really good, but I just think that outro is way too long, and honestly it gets a bit too messy at certain points. It's just, it feels like you're getting attacked from like all areas with what you're listening to. Keep It Southern, I wish that instead of Kevin having a verse or keeping his verse, they would have put one or two more people on the song. I love Merlin on there. And I did see online that there is a version of Keep It Southern where Matt and Bareface have verses on this. I have not found or listened to that version. I don't even know if it's true or it exists, but I would love to have heard that instead. But, oh well, the song's not bad. I just wish someone else would have been on it, because I do feel like while we have all members on here, except for Bareface, I feel like Kevin still dominates this album, and just getting, literally a day before this was released, getting The Family, which is all Kevin, I feel like it was just a bit too much for me. It feels like he was just overshadowing people, and when, like I've said before, when you have a group project, it's best to keep it so people are even. Yes, some people are going to have maybe a little bit more runtime, but making sure that the other members who are on get as many shining moments as everyone else, I feel like is key for making it seem cohesive and like it is a true group effort. But let's talk about the positives. I absolutely love the intro of FMG. The beat is absolutely crazy. I immediately had to check which of their producers did it, and see that it was Kiko. Made me very happy because he kind of gets put on the back burner a lot. But I love the instrumental on this. A lot of people seem to think that this was scrapped from Iridescence, but I don't think so. I think if it was from a past era, it was probably Roadrunner, if I would guess. It sounds a bit too like new and like, I wouldn't say like experimental enough for what Iridescence was. It just, I don't think fits as well if it were to be that. But I see why they scrapped it, because it does feel good as an intro track of sorts. But at the same time, it wouldn't really fit anywhere on one of their past projects, especially considering that there's only 3 members on this, who all do an amazing job. I think that they should have put everyone on this to at least have one track with everyone on, because we don't get a major posse cut like we usually do on each album on this one, but oh well. Animal is really good. The vibe of this one is a bit more laid back, but I really like it. Kevin does a good job on the chorus of this. I really like Matt on it as well. I think he does a good job. Those are my 2 favorite moments. Listerine, I know a lot of people are kind of torn on this. I personally really like it. My favorite part is the chorus, where I believe when I first checked, it said that it was Matt, Jabari, and Kevin all doing the chorus, but I kind of like that if you're listening to it close enough, it almost sounds like just one of them, and you could pick any one of them, and it sounds like that one, maybe just distorted in a certain way. Like, I don't know. I like the way that they just made the chorus sound. It's very hard to tell who it is, and I really like that. That may be disproved. I'm not sure if it is just one person, but either way, I really like it. I think that Jabari does a good song. I think Jabari does a good job on it. New Shoes as well. I think Jabari really does a killer chorus. I think this one is fast-paced. It's upbeat. It's fun. I love Dom and Merlin's verses. Also, the beginning of Matt's verse, I can't explain why, but I just, like, love the beginning of his verse a lot. It's just the flow and immediately how he comes in, super fast-paced, is just really infectious to hear, and I really like it. But yeah, I really like Merlin on this. I feel like Merlin is not on this project a lot, and so to hear him on this song, I think he's literally only maybe on Keep It Southern and New Shoes. I'd have to re-listen again entirely, but yeah, he does a really good job on this. Really like his verse. It definitely gives a funny one-liner at the end. But yeah, New Shoes definitely was the big single from this one. I see why. I wish that they include those last 2 members of Job and Bareface, so it would be a full posse cut, but that's just a personal preference, even though it is good the way it is. Whatever. Man on the Moon is a stellar song. This could have definitely have fit on probably Ginger or Roadrunner, in my opinion. I really like it. It's a more dance, sort of EDM-inspired song, especially with the long breakdown outro, where you have no vocals and it's purely just instrumental. I'd have to look back again to see who produced this. I believe it was Ramil, but I'm not 100% sure. Either way, instrumental is fantastic, and I think that is the shining moment of the song. Although I do really like the distorted vocals on the chorus. That's super fun. It's definitely a very upbeat song. Speaking of upbeat, the next track, Better Things, is definitely not that. It is a very somber song, but this one is, I would say, my favorite of all the songs on this one. It's the one I don't listen to the most. I think FMG I listen to the most. Maybe that's just because of how fun it is. But this one I would say is the best. Matt on the chorus is so damn good. We finally get to hear more singing, similar to what he did on Rental for Saturation 3, which I had been begging for really up until this point, and to finally hear him bout out like this was really nice. I absolutely loved it. The verses were good, but I cannot express enough that I loved him on this chorus. It was so good. It's my favorite part of it. Undeniable for me. This is the best song, and it is risen to be one of my favorite Brockhampton tracks in a while. It's so damn good. Crucify Me, I did talk about that outro a bit too long, but I would say otherwise it's very good. I like the instrumental up until that point. I think Joba does a really good chorus. I like how I feel like this sounds like it was performed live when it was recorded. Like it almost, for some reason, to me, sounds like a live recording. I really like that. He's basically the main shining moment, and I'm glad because he's not on the first half of the album very much. Duct Tape, I really like, again, Joba's outro. I really like Jabari, though, on the very first verse. A lot of people said that he was on this project too much. I think he was on it just enough because, like I said, I think Kevin was the main person on it, but Jabari probably is my favorite part of this. Just the way that the track immediately starts off with the beat, and then his verse, it feels very cinematic and like important in a sense, the way it is. I just really like that. Always Something, the second to last track, is one I tend to forget, but then when I listen to it, I really like it. It's another very somber one, but it's so good. But I can't say why that of all the songs, it's the one I always forget. Wait, what does this one sound like? And then I listen to it, and then it comes back to me. I do really like, though, on the chorus that Kevin gives, it's kind of hard almost to tell what he's saying. Some people either think he says, we shout some more, like he was repeating, we shout some more, we shout some more, we shout, or reach out some more, reach out some more, reach out. I think that they both work depending on the context of what you're listening to, because reach out some more, he's saying, like, now that the band is been basically disassembled now for a little bit, he's saying that he wants his friends to reach out more. He's saying that he wants, to still stay connected even though they're not. Or you could read it as we shout some more, as the turmoil that had led up to the breakup of the band, of them just like shouting, getting into arguments and disagreements. I think that it works both ways. So that's really nice. I like how that kind of plays out. The final track, Goodbye, is really good, but it does leave me wanting a bit more. Maybe if someone else is on the track, I'm not sure. Maybe it's just because I don't want it to end, that I don't want this to be the final track, although I do like how the track is. I like that it's just Joba and Matt. I think that they both do a good job. Joba on the first part, I think his harmonies are really good. I think vocally he does some of his best performances on this album. Honestly, it's kind of crazy that these were just like basically B-sides to past projects, because it shows that Joba really gives his all when he goes into making these songs, as I think most of them do, but he just really is like doing his best. And I do really like the Q Lazarus sample on the outro. Rest in peace. That R&B sample is really well done. Definitely repurposes the song as it was most famously used in the Silence of the Lambs. So this makes me hear the song and not get creeped out so much. Now I think the song sometimes just as much or a little bit more than I do the Silence of the Lambs. But yeah, that's it. I will mention the album cover. I do really like. This is the first one where I know it wasn't one of their graphic designers who was working on this. This album was drawn by Matt, simply in his notebook. And I really like it. I like the simplicity. I like that it's the 7 vocal members. They're together, but standing apart, as to show that they are basically separated. This is them at their last point. And I really like it. Yeah. That's it. It's a good album, but as I said before, I think that the lack of an entire member is a big downfall, as well as I feel like that there's no narrative of the album. And the fact that it's just a bunch of songs thrown together definitely affects the score for me. I would rate this about a 72%. But yeah, this is, at least for now, until who knows when, this is my last Brockhampton review. So thank you for watching. I'm not entirely sure what my next review will be, but I hope you join me for that. I'll see you then. Bye now.